What's going on, guys? Vulkan here, and Torchlight 3 has revealed a new system coming called the Legendarium. And I'm actually kind of excited about this one. It looks like the Torchlight devs are finally getting somewhat creative with their ideas, or they are getting very good at copying other games' ideas. Because Torchlight 3 is really still behind the curve in terms of fun compared to Torchlight 2, but it looks like they're finally taking some steps in the right direction and borrowing or copying things that are popular in other games in order to make their game a little bit more fun and engaging. So what is the Legendarium? Well, this lets players use special bonuses found on legendary gear without actually equipping the item, similar to the Kunai's Cube in Diablo 3. You have the legendaries, you find them, you break them down, you take the affix, and it gets put in your affix library, and then you choose those affixes to equip to your character without needing the item itself. So it does provide you the list of all the legendary items you've collected and all of their powers to choose from. And this also helps solve the problem of outgrowing low-level legendaries and keeps them relevant by allowing you to continue to use their benefits as you level up. Because that's a big problem that I see in a lot of different games. You have this legendary that drops and you really like it, but you out-level it, you outgrow it, and then it either becomes vendor trash or you put it in your stash for like nostalgia's purpose, but most of the time you need the gold, so you're going to vendor trash it. And this really kind of helps that. You don't necessarily have to trash it, you can then break it down and continue using that bonus. And this whole system was spun off of a previous update where they gave all legendary items special unique bonuses, which led to a lot of positive reactions from players. Big surprise. And that seems like a weird thing to be surprised at as a developer. Legendary items should always have something that makes them legendary, whether it's an effect, whether it's a certain stat that's just insanely high, or another kind of unique property, something that makes them different. Legendary items can't be legendary without a reason. You can't have something that's orange text and it's just a basic weapon, there's no differences on it at all, and call it legendary. That's part of the issue with Wilson's itemization. But one thing they kept hearing from players, including myself, is Torchlight 3 lacks a depth of customization and build variety. And this is where the Legendarium kind of comes in to help offset a little bit of this. Because right now, Torchlight 3, I know I can't show anything, but I can talk about it, NDA, all that fun stuff. The problem right now with Torchlight 3 is it's just not fun to play. And the reason it's not fun to play is because you don't have a lot of choice when it comes to building out your character. You do the skills that are available to you. There's not very many. It's a small handful of skills. Now, they did add some tiered bonuses, which is great, but there needs to be more skills, because how long are you going to be able to build characters off of 12 skills total? And you don't want to take all 12 because you don't have slots for all 12. So then you're reduced to 4 or 5 skills that you have to really kind of dive into and invest in. So now you're at a point where you have 5 skills you're going to be repetitiously using over and over and over again, because those are the ones that actually interest you out of the 12 that are available. And then on top of that, gearing isn't exactly fun. You know, I don't have those moments where I find a piece of gear and I get overly excited. Those don't come very often. Very, very few and far between. So having something like this Legendarium will help a little with that, but it's just a band-aid for an underlying issue where they really, really, really need to take a look at the gearing and the skills in the game in order to make it a little bit more fun. We need to move on, but sorry for the rant, guys. I really just want this game to live up to the franchise that it's being added to. I mean, Torchlight 1 and 2 were fantastic games, and Torchlight 3, I want it to build upon that base, that foundation, but right now it's really struggling. So anyway, let's move on to Legendarium, and we can talk about all the ups and downs of Torchlight 3 at a different time, but let's talk about this. So in the Legendarium, players will have access to 3 slots. You unlock at level 3, at level 20, and level 40. And you can use these slots to put in legendary powers that we talked about earlier from that library list. So check out this screenshot that they actually shared with us, and you can see you have 3 slots on the right-hand side. 2 of them are slotted with arc-powered boots and Frenzy's blade. Now, if you look at the yellow text on arc-powered boots, quote, requires 3 more arc-powered items. And then Zap Chance increases to 20% rather than 10%. So a couple questions. Does this mean I need to equip 3 more in addition to this selected skill? Does it mean that I need to break down 3 other arc powered items and then that becomes available as a legendary affix? There's a lot of questions, a lot of things to find out here. And then you have Frenzy's Blade, where on hit with a basic attack, you gain Frenzy, increasing attack speed of basic attacks for 5% for 5 seconds, stacking up to 50 times. So that's going to be kind of interesting. Very situational in terms of basic attacks. I don't really use basic attacks too often on my characters just because cooldowns are fairly short and they're up pretty much all the time. So I'm curious if you can make like a basic attack enhanced build or something like that. Now on the left hand side, you can see the different legendary affixes. Along the top is kind of a nice sorting mechanic, but along the bottom, it looks like there are 131 affixes in there currently, which means there are at least 131 legendaries in the game. And that's a pretty nice amount to chase after, I would say. I'm curious if there's more, and that's just 131 that they have in there, or if it shows you of the total 131 in the game, you have unlocked 14. So like I said, more to find out there. But similar to kind of the Kunai's cube, right? In order to fill up that library, you have to disenchant or break down the legendary items first. But here's an interesting choice made by the developers. Once you unlock a legendary affix on a single character, it unlocks account wide. So you go on your high level character, you have all these legendaries, you're breaking all of them down. The next character you create will have access to those immediately. But one thing we still don't know is if there's a level requirement to equipping certain legendary affixes. Are they still within that level range? So a level 1 can't equip all of these, you know, max level legendary affixes, and you still kind of have to work through them. I'm not entirely sure, so we need to figure that out. But when you first create a character, the devs actually gave you a small set of legendary affixes to help jumpstart your game, right? And get you familiar with the system. So you get the Wanderer's Hood, which allows you to use movement skills such as Luminous Run or Ramming Robot more frequently. They give you Quicksilver, which turns potions into temporary speed boosts. You get Frenzy's Blade, which we saw earlier. This increases your basic attack speed the more you attack. You have Headhunter, which grants extra power boost for slaying elite and legendary enemies. Then you have Godsbeard's Glove. That's intense. Godsbeard's Glove, which allows more frequent potion use and increases the amount of potions you'll find on monsters. So they're kind of a well-rounded Kickstarter. I mean, you can choose one of those to start out because remember, you only get one slot at level 3. Your second and third slots unlock at 20 and 40, so you can't equip all 3 of these at the same time. So final thoughts on this whole kind of thing here. I think this is a strong addition to the game. You know, it's a strong addition to a game that's trying to get its sea legs back. And ever since the Torchlight Frontiers debacle, experiment, however you kind of want to call it, it seems like they're really trying to play things safely. And it's coming out very plain. This game is literally just zero impact right now. And the game itself is fun. I mean, it's fun for a few hours, right? But I can't see myself playing for any more than that because it just is mind-numbing at times. And like I said, a large part of that is due to builds, gearing, and complexity and customization. And to top all that off, you get to endgame, and that's not exactly fun right now because it's just maps, which are short, they're available for purchase. I would really like to see maps and endgame kind of handled differently, but that's gonna be a topic for another video. So guys, let's get to talking downstairs. What do you guys think so far about the Legendarium? You know, there was a lot of kind of skepticism in this video, but ultimately I am glad they're adding this system. I do think it's going to be a good addition to the game. It's something this game needs to add a little bit more oomph, a little bit more to its roster in terms of what it's going to be adding for players. So I'm curious what you guys have to think. And also for those of you who are in the Torchlight beta, alpha, whatever stage they're in right now, what do you think and how do you think this is going to actually affect the game? Do you think it's going to make things more complex? Do you think it's just fluff? Do you think, you know, it's going to be strong? I'm curious because this is just my point of view. So as always, guys, thank you so much for the support. Very much appreciate it. And I will talk to you guys next time.